couldn't have done it without my muse, of course, but true vision, the kind that changes things that can only ever come from one person. The spotlight was a perfect, blinding circle, catching the dust motes dancing around Xavier's head like a halo of tiny lies. He was looking right at me, 100 pairs of eyes following his. I gave a small, polite smile. That's a very interesting perspective. We met at a university hackathon, fueled by stale coffee and the hum of overheating laptops. Had the coding architecture, he had the design flair. Our first project, a simple e-commerce site for a local bakery, was a thing of beauty. We finished it at 3 a.m. and celebrated with day-old croissants in the fluorescent quiet of the empty co-working space, so tired we could barely speak, just laughing. That felt safe. The first red flag was a month later, when he pitched that same project to a potential client. He kept saying, I designed this, I integrated that. And I asked him about it later, he just laughed it off. It's just shorthand, Taylor. Everyone knows I means we in a pitch. I let it go. The golden period lasted 6 months. We landed a major client, Viridia Labs, a biotech firm that needed a complex, interactive data visualization for their genetic research. It was our big break. My life became a blur of late nights, turning raw data into a seamless digital experience. Send Slack messages at 2 a.m. detailing a breakthrough in the rendering engine. He'd reply at 10 a.m. with a single line. Looks great, keep pushing. I bought the Red Bulls, I ordered the pizzas. He expensed the lavish client lunches at Per Se. He started calling me his technical lead in emails, a subtle demotion from partner. I rationalized it all. We were playing to our strengths. He was the face, I was the engine. It was working. The discovery was an accident. I was searching our shared Google Drive for an old tax invoice when a folder I'd never seen before caught my eye. XV Solo. My blood went cold. Inside was a crisp 30-page pitch deck for Xavier's new creative agency. The centerpiece, the only case study, was our Viridia Labs project. My name appeared once in 8-point font on the final page under key contractors. The file's creation date was 6 weeks ago. I didn't confront him. I didn't say a word. For the next 3 weeks, I became an archaeologist of our digital life. I used a script to export every Slack conversation, timestamped. I took screen recordings of the Google Drive's version history, showing my thousands of contributions versus his handful of cosmetic tweaks. The betrayal wasn't a single act. It was a vast, sprawling campaign. He deregistered an LLC. He'd been siphoning small amounts from our joint business account, coded as client entertainment, to pay for his new agency's logo design and web hosting. He was methodically erasing me from my own work. Breaking point was the launch party for the Viridia project. It was held in a stark white art gallery downtown, all polished concrete and expensive wine. The project had been nominated for a prestigious design award. When they announced our win, Xavier pulled me into a brief theatrical hug on his way to the stage. He accepted the sleek acrylic trophy, and then he delivered that line, the one about his singular vision. Looked out at the crowd, at the Viridia CEO, at reporters from tech journals. He wasn't finished. It takes a certain kind of genius to translate raw code into art. That's where I came in. I shaped the raw material. Without the artist, it's just a pile of bricks. The room erupted in applause. The sound was like static, drowning everything out. In that moment, the hurt vanished, replaced by a profound, chilling calm. The plan simply appeared, fully formed. I noticed a detail he'd overlooked in his arrogance. On the giant screen behind him, he had a loop of the project running. Pointed to a particularly complex molecular visualization, a swirling, elegant helix of data points. He called it his signature piece. I knew something he didn't. Buried deep in the code for that specific module was a digital fingerprint I'd left out of habit, a single, commented out line with my initials and a timestamp. Invisible from the outside, but absolute proof from within. The next morning, I hired Ms. Zimmerman. It was an IP attorney whose reputation preceded her. Sharp, meticulous, and utterly relentless. Her retainer was $15,000, nearly all of my savings. I signed the engagement letter and wired the funds, the click of the mouse feeling more definitive than any signature I'd ever made. A week later, a close call. Xavier sent me a partnership dissolution agreement via email. He was offering me $5,000 to walk away, framing it as a generous gesture for my contributions. I almost replied, a flash of anger nearly making me reveal my hand. Ms. Zimmerman's advice was simple. Say nothing. Let him think you're weak in considering it. So I waited. Our evidence was a fortress. We had the Google Drive metadata. We had the Slack exports showing me conceiving and executing every core function. We had bank statements showing 17 separate transactions from our joint account to his solo venture. Even had a sworn affidavit from Wesley, the lead developer at Viridia Labs, stating he'd only ever corresponded with me on all technical matters. The final piece of the trap was an ironic coincidence. The design award came with a feature in Interface Daily. Ms. Zimmerman drafted a benign-looking asset clarification letter, ostensibly for the magazine article. It asked Xavier to formally claim, in writing, sole authorship of the project's key components for portfolio and award purposes. Arrogant and eager to cement his legacy, he signed and returned it within an hour. He had just legally committed perjury. Execution was set for a glass-walled boardroom on the 40th floor of the OmniCorp Tower. Xavier had used our stolen portfolio to land a meeting for a massive new contract. At our request, OmniCorp's general counsel had invited Ms. Zimmerman and me to attend. Xavier walked in, radiating confidence, and powered up his laptop. "Before you begin, Xavier, we have a few clarifying questions." He faltered for a second, then gave a tight, dismissive smile. Ms. Zimmerman, cool as ice, began. She started with the signed partnership agreement and the bank statements. Xavier's face tightened. He called it a messy breakup, a simple financial disagreement that we could handle later. He was annoyed, but not afraid. Then Ms. Zimmerman asked him about his signature piece. He launched into a proud, detailed explanation of his artistic process. She let him finish, then turned to OmniCorp's chief technology officer. "Do you please open the developer console on the live project?" I gave her the line number. The CTO typed. There, projected on the 10-foot screen for the entire room to see, was my digital fingerprint. TG build 742, finalized 03-17-10-26. The air left the room. Xavier's face went slack, the blood draining from it. It's a joke," he stammered, "an old tag. It means nothing." I looked at him, my voice even and quiet. "It means everything." OmniCorp deal evaporated before we even reached the lobby, where a process server was waiting for Xavier with our lawsuit. The fallout was swift and brutal. Within 24 hours, the story was quietly circulating through the tech and design communities. The design award was officially rescinded. The court judgment, 3 months later, was decisive. He owed me $85,000, the full estimated value of my half of the business, plus all legal fees. 6 months after that, I saw him. He was working at the Genius Bar, his tailored blazer replaced with a blue Apple t-shirt. He was patiently explaining to an elderly woman why her iPad wouldn't turn on. His new life was a world of other people's problems. I used the settlement to start my own small development studio. Wesley, the developer from Viridia, was my first hire. My new office is modest, but it's filled with light and honest work. I learned that collaboration requires trust, but a business requires an ironclad contract. The calm I feel now isn't an absence of emotion, it's an earned peace. Last week, Interface Daily interviewed me about my new company. The reporter asked me about my creative philosophy. "True vision," I said, "the kind that changes things, that can only ever come from the people who actually build the thing." The bricks had found their own architect.